Fire away.
Well, hello and welcome into another edition of Entertainment News here at MBE. Just like to thank you once again for joining us here on our YouTube channel. One of your co-hosts, Stephen John McLaughlin, and our co-host sitting and sipping is John C. Walsh. John, we're going to be talking about Oasis announcing their Live 25 opus, which is a 1,000 unseen photograph collection book based on obviously their live tour from last year. We're also going to be talking about John Bernthal's Gritty, the Punisher's return before Spider-Man's Brand New Day, officially revealing the official date for that as well, coming to Disney+. But before that, we're going to be talking about HBO officially unveiling Harry Potter's series first look. Don't know if you want to bring up the screen on that one, John. I know this is coming in from Screen Rant. And yeah,
I don't know why I've done a solo of me. I need to add it to the stage.
We're finally getting a first look, and the first thing you look at is Daniel Radcliffe.
That's Screen Rant, Stephen.
Yeah.
As you can see, that's definitely not. I'm going to have to bring the name of the cast up. Dominic McLaughlin.
Yeah.
He's one of your clan, Stephen.
Yeah, good guy.
So, no, it's and that's not him either. That's Papa Asidu. We'll get into that as well. Papa's been out speaking about the response to also him being cast as Severus Snape, and also the what would you call them, Morlocks in society, who are once again letting themselves down, embarrassing themselves with ridiculous remarks and insults and messages to him. But we'll get into that. That's the darker side of this, Stephen. That's definitely not Dominic. That's Daniel Radcliffe. I want to say a good 25, 26 years ago, 27 years ago. I think it was 2001. Philosopher's Stone came out. Not the Sorcerer's Stone. That was for the those of a slightly different persuasion across the pond. They obviously couldn't pronounce philosopher, so they had to call it the Sorcerer's Stone over there. But Steve, no, it has. It's been announced. We're going to have a teaser.
I didn't know that.
Philosopher's Stone. It's a very easy word to say. Philosopher's Stone. Stephen, did you know? We're going to get sidetracked here early doors.
Yeah.
They actually shot 2 versions of the first Harry Potter film for the United Kingdom and the rest of the world. It was the Philosopher's Stone. And the young actors, Hermione Granger, actress also Emma Watson, and she got the short straw. She had to say a hell of a lot in that film. Done it with great sort of gusto. She enjoyed it. Gusto. Not gusto, that's the food company. But in the United States, a whole different set of lines. Sorcerer's Stone, they said, multiple points in the film. Really strange. I think the actual book was called The Sorcerer's Stone over there as well, or across there. But that aside, Stephen, it is the Philosopher's Stone. It is the first season of the HBO TV show that's coming out next year, I believe. And yeah, they've released this at HBO with a caption tomorrow. And I have to say, a really interesting image. There's a lot going on there for those with a keen eye. Obviously, if it's, I want to say that's Ravenclaw and Gryffindor. And we've got Harry front and centre. Literally centred. Potter, number 7. He's getting ready to play some Quidditch. Which, Stephen, I know you're not a huge Harry Potter aficionado. No. Quidditch is a sport which is practiced and loved in the wizarding world. Basically, you've got beaters, you've got, I think, clubbers, I want to say, is maybe beaters, catcher, beater, catcher, you've got a keeper, you've got the seeker. Harry Potter is the seeker, and he has to seek out a golden snitch, which obviously wins them the game automatically. Not the most well-devised game J.K. Rowling came up with. He can play for days, and then this little guy can catch a snitch, and it ends like that, which is a bit pish. You're up. I think it's 150 points for the golden snitch. But that's neither here nor there. That's sort of mythology and lore that you don't really need to know about at this moment in time. Needless to say, Fred and George are there, who are the brothers of Ronald Weasley. Ron Weasley, Harry's good friend in the books and in obviously the movies and now in the TV show. So there's a lot of little details in there. We've got the maroon colour. We've got the gold. We've got him with his broom. And we've got Fred and George. So there's a lot of little snippets going on, and there's a lot of little Easter eggs in there. And it's just exciting times, Stephen, for Harry Potter fans. I'm sure the vast majority of fans are looking forward to this TV show coming out, looking forward to seeing how detailed they get. Do they more sort of closely align to the novels and give us a really authentic telling of a story? I think the nature of a TV show, I don't know how many episodes it's going to be, but the nature of a TV show is that it is longer form. Yeah. And that does allow you to spend more time marinating in the story. But it really just comes down to how invested they are. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it does say, just to interject here, what you were talking about in terms of the structure of this series, this television series from HBO. And it does say each season will adapt a book from the series and provide people with more book-accurate details than the 8 Warner Brother movies. It's difficult, John. We've seen that in Lord of the Rings as well, haven't we? You obviously are well versed in the literature of Tolkien, and you know the bits that are not in the book. You know the bits that obviously are changed for the film as well. And sometimes that happens. Certainly when you've got a limited amount of time per movie. This is one of the things. This should work because it's a web series. It's something that they can really develop and really fill out because it goes at a different pace. And we've seen it. I think Disney Plus have done it really well. I think in terms of their adaptations for movies like The Punisher and Daredevil didn't work on the big screen for a 2-hour duration or whatever it may have been, but they work for long format. On the flip side of that, Rings of Power suffered mightily because it was too slow.
Yes, and that's my concern, Stephen.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
What I was about to say.
I know a lot of people have got a concern about this as well, but I think it's more about casting more than anything. Yeah. I think one of the things with Rings of Power was that enough time had passed between the Peter Jackson films and that web series coming out about 4 years ago, whatever it may be. And people still identify certain actors with certain characters. And that's my concern for this franchise, that it's only been 15 years since the last film. I know that seems a long time, but, these actors played these characters for a whole decade. Films were coming out every year from 2001 right up to 2011. Yep. And it's and then when the casting was announced, we covered some of this on our movie news, a couple of years ago when the likes of Nick Frost was getting announced. And I'm a fan of Nick Frost, but is he a Robbie Coltrane? This is the thing. This is what we naturally.
He's a funny man. Yeah, he's got charisma. He's got presence. He's not naturally as big a frame as Robbie was. Obviously, Robbie was a big guy in real life. Obviously, they CG'd him and made him larger than life for the films. That's not a problem for Nick Frost. He is a smaller man naturally, but in terms of physicality of his acting, Stephen, I've seen him working alongside Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright movies and whatnot in the past, and we know he's got personality. He's certainly got that confidence. He's a good actor. Yeah. And I think he'll be a fine job as Vegas. Vegas is a really important character.
I think your microphone's muffling, John.
Is it muffling again? If I turn this out, will it sound better now?
It does, yes.
There we go. I'll just try and position it in a way where it's not rubbing against my neck. Is that better?
That's so clear.
Wonderful.
It's like we're in the same room.
Wow. Back in the day, you remember? Yeah. Back on the road again. Back in the day. That's what it was like. It was like your man, Danny Martin. We had the table set up, we just didn't have the food. Sometimes we did have food. Those were the days indeed. But no, Stephen, I think he'll be a fine Ruby's Hagrid. Hagrid is a really important character for the story. He's such an important figure for Harry. He's this sort of conduit into the wizarding world in the first novel, and also helps him get his bearings in Diagon Alley and whatnot before he goes to Hogwarts. And then throughout the story, we really unravel Hagrid. He's this sort of childlike character in many ways. Never really blessed with magical powers, and obviously he just grows and grows as an individual throughout the show. So it's really important to get these casting choices correct. And Stephen, I brought Catherine Parkinson up for that particular reason. She's going to be playing, Molly Weasley, the mother. And I think it was Julie Walters that played her in the actual movies. And I've seen a lot of people showing sort of intrigue at the age of Catherine, being so young. In a sense, she's only 2 years younger than you, Stephen. She's just turned 48. She's relatively young. And obviously Julie was, I think she was much older at the time. I want to say she was already in her 50s by the time the movies had come out.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
And it never really was something that I felt was quite, I mean, she was great in the role. Really enjoyed her. I thought they got the casting brilliant in the movies throughout. The older sort of English actors, the likes of David Thewlis, Gary Oldman, Julie Walters, Imelda Staunton, Alan Rickman. Michael Gambon, he done all right. He wasn't Richard Harris, but in the main, they got the casting really bang on in the movies. But her age never really checked out for me. She had a wide range of kids from, I think, 18 through to like 9. I want to say Ginny was about 9 in the first novel. And for someone to have that sort of age range, you would be in your sort of mid to late 40s, I want to say, would be an acceptable range. So having this more youthful Molly Weasley is right off the bat something that I'm enjoying. I'm liking the look of. And then you go through the list, we've got a more sort of filled out cast now, which I've not been keeping the closest tabs on, I'm not going to lie. But Petunia Dursley's going to be played by Belle Powley, again, much younger than what was the obvious choice in the movie. She was much older in the movies, or she certainly felt much older at the time. I don't know, maybe it's just age. It skewed my perspective.
I think they're playing the long game though, John.
Yeah, it's over 10 years, Stephen. But I mean, you look at that, she's younger than me. She's 3 years younger than me. She's 34 years of age. She's turned 34. But again, she's got an 11, 12-year-old kid, 10-year-old kid. So it makes sense. She would be in her 30s. And she'd have a kid around about that age. So I'm liking the fact that the cast of the sort of adult figures are all in their 30s, sometimes in their 40s. They're, across the board, I feel younger than what we got in the movies. And like you said, Stephen, that's twofold. In terms of the long game, these actors will be around to act in these roles for the next decade or so, which is really important.
Yeah.
But again, just book accurate. We're already seeing that they're more accurate to the book. Again, I don't want to shit the movies. I loved the movies. I grew up watching the movies. I was of that generation. But I feel it off the bat, the casting of these figures is much more accurate. Johnny Finn's playing Lucius Malfoy. I mean, I don't know how old he is, but yeah, there you go. He's 1983, so he's just turned what? He's just turned 43. So he's much, again, that's maybe one that's probably similar to your man. I forget the name of the guy, which is absolutely shocking. I really enjoy him as an actor that played Lucius, Jason Isaac. He was probably about my age, to be fair, in the first movie. So they're getting the casting right. I'm really looking forward to it. I was specifically interested in the likes of Lox Pratt playing Draco Malfoy, who's the little shit-kicking villain. Don't know if you're aware of Draco.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be so strange seeing these young actors coming through and portraying these characters, being of a generation that grew up seeing the original actors. It's going to be hard to accept these little shit kickers as the characters in a new story. And again, it just makes me feel old, Stephen, that we're already retelling the story of Harry Potter. If I didn't feel old as it is, I'm now beginning to feel ancient. So
that's the question you probably ask HBO and the likes of, was there a need, to do this? Was there a need to create this web series when these films are no more than 25-year-old, I suppose, the first one, then you're going right to 15 years ago for the last one, or the last two, or whatever it may have been. I think the two of them came out at the same year. I can't remember, John, the final two, part one and part two.
Yeah, I think did they?
I can't remember.
Half-Blood Prince was 2009. I think Deathly Hallows Part 1 would have been 2010, and then Part 2 would have been 2011. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not a long time in the grand scheme of things, and it does beg the question, why do this, and certainly at a time when, the author is not everyone's cup of tea, certainly on social media, and it's, you've got the films there.
That's what it is.
And, the thing about the films as well, John, as much as I'm not a massive fan of Harry Potter, every one of them had I suppose, more strengths than weaknesses. There wasn't. I don't think anyone can say there was an absolute turkey among those films.
No,
I think everyone got some sort of enjoyment out of them. And that's rare. When you look at the amount of films that came out in that space of time for this franchise to be consistently good across the board. Just adds weight to why are they doing this? Why are they spending so much money on doing this web series? I get that you can tell a fuller story, on the web series, but I personally don't see the need for it. But I was very much the same with the Rings of Power as well. I don't think I needed it. I watched maybe about 3-4 episodes, and then I just didn't go back to it. I just thought, nah, this isn't for me.
What I would say, Stephen, with Rings of Power, though, Rings of Power was a sort of fictional telling set in the world of Middle-earth, but it was heavily reliant on the appendices of Lord of the Rings. And then there was a lot of made-up filler characters put in there and filler elements to the story put in there. So right off the bat, a lot of people weren't having it as an authentic Tolkien experience. And obviously there was a lot of casting issues and diversity picks, which people were wound up about, and we'll get on to that with Papa C doing this as well.
Yeah.
But with this, I feel this is a different kettle of fish. Is that what's the fucking phrase? Kettle of fish?
Yeah.
I'm terrible with phrases. In the sense that we're mining directly from the novels, the source material. So it's just a retelling. It's a different kind of medium, if you'd like, TV. So we're getting a more in-depth, potentially more book-accurate version of a story. Stephen, I'd more compare it to the likes of, I don't want to, again, that's been disparaging to the actual films, because the films were much better than the 1984 Dune movie. But in the sense that with these sort of 2-hour movies, you're going to have to skip over elements of the story just to fit it into a feature-length running time. And it was the same in the 1980s with, was it David Ayer? I don't know what the name of the actual director was, who done the original Dune movie. He tried to fit the entire first novel into a 2-hour, 40-minute running time, which is just not possible. And then Denis comes along and obviously tells it in an epic, nearly 3-hour long per movie duology. And now we're getting it expanded out into a trilogy. It's just about exploring the sort of source material really in depth and closer than maybe what was originally done. And giving us a different turn.
Yeah, David Lynch, John, was the director.
David Lynch it was, yeah.
I think that
I was the producer of Harry Potter. David
I
Lynch.
mean, that's the thing,
And director.
It was a different age back then as well. Lynch would have had a lot of limitations in terms of budget for telling that story as well. It's all about, I suppose, timing with a lot of these things. And I think Dune, what we've seen over the last 3-4 years with Villeneuve's version, his vision of it is that it's just came at the right time because the technology is there as well. And it always helps if the studio's behind it as well, and well, we know obviously that the director had announced part 2 before the studio officially announced it, but I don't think in terms of the Harry Potter HBO series there's anything wrong with casting. I think most of us know the well-established actors that are going to be appearing in this series.
Yeah.
And certainly here in the UK, we'll know more about them than perhaps maybe the US. But I think in terms of cast and crew, I don't think you can fault them, John. I think in terms of that, that's probably one of the sort of glimmers of hope. They've got the likes of Paul Whitehouse being one of them.
Yeah, he's going to be playing Argus Filch, who's the caretaker.
Yeah, and
So
obviously
that's a
as you
great
mentioned,
casting.
you've got Frost in there as well.
I think Lithgow will be a good Dumbledore. I think he'll hit the ball out of the park in that role.
Yeah,
And Stephen, even Paparazzi, I've spoken about this before. I'm not a massive fan of the casting by any means, because I just think the ramifications for the story further into the actual novels, where we peel back the behaviour of Harry's father and his group of friends, and the way they treated, obviously, I'm blanking on the names of the characters. Wormtail, God, what was the Fearless character called again? It was the professor for the Against the Dark Arts. Defence Against the Dark Arts. Forget his name, it doesn't matter. But his group of friends, James Potter and his group of friends in the past, we go and explore how they treated Severus when he was younger. And also there's a lot of bullying going on, and I think at one point he gets hung on a tree. And also the visual ramifications of a black man getting put in that situation.
Yeah.
One, deeply uncomfortable viewing because of the past and what happened in the United States way back in the day. But also the ramifications and what it does for James Potter and the sort of other characters who were taking an instant dislike. Even Harry, to an extent, takes an instant dislike to Severus. And if he's black, there's always that sort of insinuation that it's because he's black.
And there shouldn't be.
It changes the whole dynamic of the story by casting him as a black man in the actual novels, whereas in the TV show, whereas in the novels he was pasty, what was it they called him? Sallow, pasty white. He was almost unhealthily white. So it just changes the dynamic, which I'm not a huge fan of, and it's nothing to do with Paparazzi. And again, we'll get into that very briefly. I don't want to linger too much on it. But it does change the dynamic. But having said that, he is a stage theatre trained actor, so he knows his shit. He's not a mug by any means. He's worked in some big productions. He's a great actor. He wouldn't have been cast if he doesn't have the chops to come in and play the role. Again, a really important role though. So I didn't hear this, Steve. I'm just letting you talk because I heard you talk.
No, I'm just saying that's, John, the bottom line is, you want to cast the best possible actors for these roles, and it doesn't really matter about anything else, you know what I mean?
No.
I get your concerns, though, and I'll just have to wait and see. But, I think in terms of the actor, I'm pretty sure he's probably well versed in the Harry Potter, story and where that character, goes, his journey. But it's one of these things that I think we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know what's coming tomorrow. I don't know if it's perhaps a trailer.
I think it's maybe early for a trailer. I think it'll be a teaser, Stephen. I think we'll get a very brief look.
Yeah.
At just maybe primarily Harry, but maybe some of the other cast members on a superficial level, because I don't know if we're still shooting. I think I've been shooting for a good while now. We're probably done with production in the main. But I think it's a bit early with it being nearly a year out. They've not got a fixed release date, but they're just saying 2027, so we know it's at least, probably a year out, which I think is a bit far out for a trailer. A trailer you usually want to drop about 5 to 6 months prior, and then you build it.
It might be a teaser then, John. It might just be some visuals. Not much more than that, because I don't think we'll get a full trailer for this till perhaps maybe nearer the end of the year.
Yeah.
Just to remind people it's coming next year. But no, listen, I'm open-minded about it enough. I think, John, our perspectives are slightly different. You grew up with the established films and obviously connected with those actors playing those characters, whereas myself, not so much. I'm very aware of the cast from the original films, and it just remains to be seen. I'm willing to give anything a chance, like as I mentioned, The Rings of Power. I wasn't really overly excited about it, but I thought, well, I'm a fan of Lord of the Rings. I'll see what it's about, see if I can really, engage in this. And it just didn't work out that way. I was very much the same as that Henry Cavill, The Witcher.
Yeah. I just couldn't bond with that.
Yeah, it was like almost, maybe about 2 or 3 episodes in, I just thought, nah. I kind of know early on if a web series is going to resonate well with me.
Yeah, I tried with Rings of Power. I tried to give it a chance, but I think I lasted 3-4 episodes and checked out. It was just far too slow paced and boring for me. And again, growing up, watching the movies, Hugo Weaving for me is Elrond. I know that actor's coming in. I think he's playing another prominent role. Trying to remember what role it is. I was just discussing that. He's going to be playing a prominent role in a film. And I can't remember for the life of me what or who it is he's playing, but I literally just discussed him the other day. But I never really bonded with him. It didn't work for me. And then you had the whole Gandalf, is it Gandalf, is it not Gandalf story arc. And I just didn't give a shit, ultimately. So I checked out. It was really boring, really tedious. It just looked weird as well. It was visually impressive, don't get me wrong, but it just looked artificial. It looked like a lot of those Disney Plus shows that are shot in the volume. Just felt large in scale, but also small in scale at the same time. So it just didn't work for me.
John, am I right in believing that Warwick Davis is in this series?
He's coming back to play Flitwick again, who he played in the movies.
Is he the only original actor from the films and it's coming back,
I'm surprised Tom Felton's not come back. I'd have loved to have seen Tom Felton, strangely enough, playing Lucius Malfoy. I think that would have been incredible to have him playing Draco and then actually playing the father, 10, 15 years later in the TV show. Because Tom has since came back and performed in the West End on The Cursed Child. And he's also really, I think of the original young actors, he's the one that's really still heavily invested in Harry Potter. Strangely enough, I think he's actually probably the one outside of maybe Daniel who's went on to have the best career out of the young cast. I like Matthew Lewis, I think it was, that played Neville Longbottom. Not really done much. Little Irish guy, not really done much. Emma Watson's checked out, fully retired from acting now. Don't know what she's doing. Rupert did pretty well early doors. I think he worked in some indie movies. I think he done stage acting as well. But Rupert's doing his own thing. He's always been a kind of...
Well, it's very hard, though, isn't it? It's very hard for young actors to, you know, escape those roles, especially if they're playing them over a period of time where you're actually seeing them grow up. You're seeing them as a small kid, right into their teenage years, and this is going back to the concern of this web series coming out next year is, for the more established audience, how they're going to take to the cast, whether or not they're going to just check out after maybe one.
That's going to make or break it, Stephen.
Yeah,
it's going to make or break it.
Because
I've got Janet McAteer there.
Yeah, the studio's playing is playing a long game based on the ages of these actors, John. But whether or not we see that through is another thing.
I mean, Stephen, it's so important, casting. I mean, you think Maggie Smith, a really established, beloved actress in the United Kingdom, and worldwide, she played Minerva McGonagall in the movies. Janet McAteer is playing her in the TV show. I don't know much about Janet, admittedly. Scarily enough, younger than my parents. Which is just mind-blowing, because when I think back to Maggie Smith, she seemed ancient 26 years ago, 25 years ago. And she probably was, to be fair. She lived to about 90 odds. So she was probably in her 70s at that point, which is fucking crazy. But the casting's got to be perfect. And I think they've, in the main, got it pretty bang on, just from a visual, just scanning through, looking at the actors. They look like a good fit. And you look at the original, or the trio of actors, and you see them here, the young primary roles, obviously Hermione, you've got Harry, you've got Ron there. They, just on a visual level, look like they work for me. And again, there was blowback for the young Hermione actress, because also she was slightly darker skinned. Again, you've got people saying, that's not right. She should be white. Well, it's never actually referenced in the novel, her ethnicity. It's just that she's got bushy hair and kind of like prominent front teeth. So from a visual level, I think she works well. I think he looks like Harry, and he seems to embody Ron Weasley pretty well. So I think purely on visuals, I think they've got it right. I think they've got established actors playing the right roles, older, wiser heads who will obviously help guide the younger actors, like the likes of Alan Rickman, Maggie Smith, Richard Harris. I can't remember who the fuck was it, Imogen Poots or something. No, it's no, she's way younger. I can't remember who played I can't remember. I've fucking not seen the movies in so long. The sort of herbology or whatever the fuck the class is called. That teacher. I can see her face. She's got a kind of butch, short hair. I'd actually have to search this up. Harry Potter.
I think I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember her name.
Let's see if Sorcerer's Stone, get that in the fucking bin. It's not the Sorcerer's Stone. There you go. It corrects itself. Original title. It was never the Sorcerer's Stone. Ever. You're lying there. Let's see if I can find this actor. or actress without completely derailing the entire stream, because it's not really that important in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, needless to say, they did a great job of sort of looking after the younger actors, taking them under their wings, making them feel comfortable, and almost develop them in their craft as the movies went along, and making them feel like they belonged.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge thing for young actors coming through. They need to make them. They have to feel like they belong there, that they're not these sort of frauds. Because we've seen so many young child actors absolutely go off the rails, Stephen, and just not handle it. The likes of Corey Feldman, to name but a few, Macaulay Culkin, to an extent, kind of go off the rails. So it's so important that you get that right and look after them as they go through it and not find this fucking actor.
Is it Celia Imrie?
Celia Imrie?
I'm not sure. I'm thinking actresses with short hair.
Oh, it's Zoe Wanamaker.
Oh, Zoe, yeah, from obviously My Family. Yeah,
it's her.
Yeah.
So those they were all established, Stephen. That was the power of the original movies. The older cast members, like I said, David Thewlis, Gary Oldman, Timothy Spall was in there.
Mm-hmm.
Just consistently hit the ball out the park throughout the entire movie franchise, casting perfectly. So that's going to make or break this TV show. The casting of the older actors, not the younger actors. They're going to learn their trade and grow as we see them going through this story. It's these guys here. They are the guys that are going to do the heavy lifting.
Well, John,
and I wish them all the very best.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to find out tomorrow what's going to be announced anyway. My bets are on a teaser as well. But that remains to be seen. And I suppose, in the lead up to, obviously, this series release, I'm sure we'll talk about it a bit more, as more information comes our way. But we're going to move on to our next topic, John. It's all about The Punisher. It's a special presentation which is set to drop on Disney Plus on May 12th. It's titled The Punisher. And John, they've released a first official poster, Marvel Television, that is.
It's a very good poster.
In terms of that. John, I know both you and I are, fans of John Bernthal and many things. I think this is probably the character.
A great podcast as well.
Yeah, this character is I'm glad, one of the things, that when Marvel took back the rights to these web series to do it themselves, rather than Netflix doing it, who did a mighty fine job, I've got to say, was not recasting these characters. Because I think, in terms of Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and perhaps maybe...
We'll ever see Jessica back?
I think so. I think we will, John. I like Jessica Jones. I know. See, the funny thing is, everyone loved Daredevil when it first came out on Netflix. Most people liked Jessica Jones. Some people liked Luke Cage, and no one really liked Iron Fist.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But one of the things that they did do right, they did a lot right, but was casting John Bernthal in this role and giving him his own series, and also appearing in season 2, I think it was, of the Netflix Daredevil series, wasn't it?
He did.
And I'm glad to see, and I was really glad to see him in that trailer last week that we reacted to in Spider-Man. That he's going to have, a role to play in that as well. How big it is, I'm not really sure. I think it's really just to tie in with this new Disney Plus series, if I'm being honest, though.
Yeah, I'm slightly confused, Stephen, about... I searched it up about what this special presentation thing is. I tried to get more information on whether it's a single run episode or whether it's a short series, maybe 3, 4, 5 episodes, or whether it's maybe a 1 or 2, almost akin to that strange horror film we got with the vampires and whatnot a couple of years ago. We done a reaction to it. It was about an hour,
black and white. Yeah,
it was like an hour and a half long. I don't know whether it's going to be a similar thing to that, a special presentation, but it's a one and done, relatively short story. It introduces the character back again into the universe and sort of earnest, if you like, if that's even the right word, and then we then join him again in a brand new day with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. But Stephen, I mean, you need to remember this TV show is nearly a decade old at this point. I mean, this character first was unveiled in 2017. That's nearly 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Season 2 was in 2019. That's 7 years ago. 6.5, 7 years ago. So there is technically maybe a generation coming up who are in maybe their late teens, early 20s, who are blissfully unaware of this character. And this may be the kind of spark that has them go back. They watch this, then they go back and enjoy the original show. And then they're all set for Spider-Man. This may be what they're kind of trying to achieve here. I don't know if they are. I don't know how much sense would be had in that, because obviously the original shows were on Netflix. I don't know if Disney now own the rights to that. I doubt it. But I mean, I'm not knocking it. I'm happy to take the character in any form back on my screens. I really enjoy The Punisher. Yeah. It's a gritty, violent story. I've always resonated with those kind of stories. I like Death Wish, John Wick, Nobody, with your man from Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
These sort of vengeance stories where something tragic happens and it lights a fuse and they become a completely different man, then they have to deal with the after effects. And it's really personal. It's really introspective. You need a really good actor to do those kind of roles. I don't know why the cast Keanu Reeves and John Wick. He's a really good action actor, to be fair. And he does embody that character. But that's why it was really important for John Bernthal to come in and play this. And I thought he'd done a fucking exemplary job of portraying the character. So I'm not knocking him coming back. I'm looking forward to it. I'm slightly perplexed as to what the meaning of special presentation is and just why we're bringing the character back in this form. Because
I've read
this is for any generation.
I think I've read that article about 3 times now, and it doesn't really confirm. It does hint about running time, which suggests it may be a one and done, but it also does mention in terms of where it sits in terms of Daredevil season 2's Born Again, between episodes. So listen, if it's only one, and as you said, it's a special presentation that we maybe get an hour and a half, it's like a mini movie. An extended episode, if you like. But I think you're absolutely right. I think it's almost 10 years since we've seen this character, introduced, and there'll be a lot of people who've grown up, in that time who've maybe not seen him, maybe too young to see him, because let's be honest, those Netflix series were pretty gritty.
They were violent.
And it was one of the things that really I enjoyed about them, because even the Marvel films at that point, I suppose they had certain elements. Certainly, the Incredible Hulk had violence in it, but this was in another level, as you said. This was like John Wick violence, certainly in the Daredevil first season, and it really took my breath away. Where they were going, and I think this is the reason they're on a streaming platform rather than the MCU, because they can be a little bit more adult orientated. Yeah. But I think it just depends on the characters as well. Certainly, Jessica Jones had certain dark elements. David Tennant's character was very dark.
Jessica! Get down, Jessica! Come here, Jessica! Jessica!
They dropped the ball, John. I think it's a shame, because I like Luke Cage, but, they brought in Mahershala Ali.
And then he fucking threw him off a veranda or a balcony or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was Cottonmouth, wasn't it, the character?
Yeah, Cottonmouth. Stephen, he was a great character as well.
Yeah, so, and I think they almost killed their momentum with Iron Fist. And that, out of the when they announced these characters, having this shared universe, one of the characters that excited me the most was Iron Fist. And I think the casting of it was wrong. The storyline was wrong, and just everything about it was it just didn't sit well, and almost killed the momentum getting back into season 2 of Daredevil at Netflix. That is, just sort of getting back into that, and it was probably the introduction of the Punisher that really got me back into it again, because I was really almost checked out because of that Iron Fist series.
Yeah.
So it shows the importance of John Bernthal. It shows the importance of this character as well.
And Stephen, it shows you the importance of connecting the two worlds, if you like. There was a huge fan base that were really also invested in the Netflix TV shows and Charlie Cox and John Bernthal and what they were doing. Maybe strange enough, separated from the Marvel Cinematic Universe side of things, and now these worlds are colliding.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see. Also, Charlie coming back. Cool to see now John. I'm combining his two names. John Bernthal coming back. Fuck's sake, nearly stroking out trying to say John Bernthal. It's literally my name, John. My God. It's cool to see him coming back. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the extent of his role in the upcoming Spider-Man movie. I don't know how big a role it's going to be, because obviously Spider-Man being Spider-Man, he's almost godlike in his abilities. But it's just really cool seeing him connecting all the dots, Stephen, and blending these worlds together, because obviously back in the day it was a running joke. The event, what was it they used to say? Guys selling videos. I've got bootleg videos of the event.
Yeah,
that was referencing the Avengers movie.
Yeah,
because obviously
couldn't see it.
Couldn't see fucking what happened during the events of the Avengers. They couldn't see Avengers. They didn't own the rights, so they had to say the event. It was fucking terrible. But now we're blending them together, so it's cool. It's cool to see the worlds collide. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I don't know how it's going to play out. I don't know how long it's going to be, but certainly a huge fan of John, going way back to The Walking Dead. Back in the day where he played a character called Walsh. I forget the first name. Maybe Frank Walsh. Surely not. Is it Frank Walsh? I'm going to search it up.
Frank Castle was a character in The Punisher.
Combining the fucking two characters together here. Go to AI. What was his name? Shane Walsh. There you go, Shane Walsh. So I'm going way back to then. I want to say that was about 2009, 2010, 2011. So I've been following this guy for 15 years now as an actor. He's a really cool guy, really grounded, brilliant guy behind or off the camera, also in front of the camera, an extremely talented actor. So cool to see him coming back in a more sort of fun return as the Punisher, and seeing where that's going to take us moving forward into the MCU.
Yeah,
I think it's important, Stephen, as well. It's important for tone to have different vibes going on within the Marvel universe, because for so long it was so candy coated. It was just multi-demographic, PG friendly. We need to have that gritty edge. We need to have a bit of darkness. Going back to that horror thing we reacted to at the time, I thought that was revolutionary for the MCU, because we were exploring different subgenres within the greater superhero genre.
Something to do with werewolf, wasn't it?
Yes, I can't remember either.
Yeah, but it was
I thought that was really important.
As you said, John, it was a breakaway from the usual sort of format, and I think at this point as well.
Werewolf by Night.
Yeah. I think we did the reaction to it, didn't we? And it was refreshing to see, and it's similar to the Disney Plus series we got with obviously WandaVision and the likes of like Loki and stuff like that. It was just a nice different format to it, and it's something that, like I mentioned, when we were talking about obviously the Harry Potter series, that Marvel do it so well for Disney Plus. And Star Wars to an extent, with maybe the first two series of Mandalorian, did it really well as well. It's really just down to good writing and obviously good casting on. But in terms of obviously the Punisher, I don't think we've got anything to worry about. If it's a one and done, fine. If it's a short series, fine. I know it's going to be good. So I'm all on board. I can't wait to see when the full details will be announced. But I'm pretty sure John will be covering it anyway on this show. But we're going to move on to our final topic, and this is probably just us breaking in Oasis once more on the channel, John, like we do. I think it's fair to say, unashamedly, fans of Oasis, and always have been. John, this is obviously the announcement of the opus. We've seen many football clubs do this, and they're always fantastic, these books. A
good coffee table book.
Yeah, that's a perfect description. Featuring 1,000 unseen photographs from the reunion tour. This is the start of this now, John. We've been talking about, obviously, the documentary. Very similar to the Beatles anthology book that came out, a special edition. Came out well before the documentary came on to Disney Plus. I think that we're seeing certain, mirror, promotions here in terms of Oasis. This is what separates Oasis doing a reunion to Blur or Stone Roses. It's the marketing and how they package the brand, the product as well as the rock and roll. It's everything, about this. This is my kind of thing. Me, John. I like a good coffee table book, and I've got obviously the Let It Be one. I've got the Beatles anthology one. This is certainly another one. I know this is going to be mostly photographs, but this is the kind of thing I want to see. I want to see those personal moments between the Gallagher brothers.
And you've got that there.
And you get that.
That's a great image.
A great photograph, John. Fantastic.
Game in the background, and obviously Noel looking at Liam. Liam looking cool as hell with the sunglasses, the haircut slightly messed up, tousled if you'd like. I think that's the word. He's got the sort of Kaggle, whatever the fuck you call it, Parker thing going on that he wore for so many of those concerts. And Noel's just looking at him and laughing. And I don't know if he's even looking at him. I think he's looking off to the side, but it's captured in a way where you think he's looking at him.
Yeah.
But it's just good to see these two, Stephen, sharing a space.
It's almost like Liam should have said something funny, like he's cracked a joke. And that's the split second right there captured just after.
And that's the power of photography, Stephen. Yeah. Capturing those moments. Because sometimes you may have a documentary, but it'll not get everything. But if you've got a guy in the ground, we were talking about it with the Beatles not long ago. That guy that captured so many great off-the-cuff images from 1965, I think it was specifically, certainly caught Macker on the stage, having a little smile back with the stadium behind him. Yeah. That's the power of photography and of a good photographer. They're able to just have that intangible ability of being in the right place at the right time to capture these little moments, these little expressions. And Simon Emmett, by all accounts, is a guy that's heavily involved in the creation of this book. I think he's directing. They're saying he's a film director and a portrait photographer. But obviously he's primarily captured a lot of these images. And that's an absolutely fantastic one. Oh, Stephen, I love this kind of stuff as well. I do enjoy. I mean, back in the day, being a Star Wars fan, I used to love the Star Wars books that were released with all the props and the characters and detail in it, the ships and the planets. Used to be fascinated by that. And there's something about having a cool book you can just look at as tangible.
John, it's one of the things. Images. It's one of the things I think is important to document certain moments in musical history as well. And I'm forever grateful for Linda McCartney, or Linda Eastman as she was at the time, to be in that room, where it be in Twickenham or the Apple Studios, to capture those moments. And I liked the way it was presented in obviously the Peter Jackson's Get Back documentary, where it did the snapshots. You saw the photographs, but you were seeing the film. And you were seeing from that angle that she was taking them, and it would capture those moments. And some of the photographs from that documentary were phenomenal, John. You had one as, I think, your avatar.
Yeah, of Lennon.
Just like
Lennon kind of smirking.
Yeah.
With Macca behind him. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That's the power of good photography. Being able to capture little moments like that would otherwise be lost to the annals of time. It really gives you an insight into the mindset of the people involved, whoever it be it John Lennon, Paul McCartney, the Beatles, or in this case, Noel, Liam, Gem, Bonehead, the full kit and caboodle on this tour. Yeah. It was an incredible fucking sort of zeitgeist couple of months in Britain. Anyway, I don't know in terms of the greater tour in the Americas. I know they went to North America, then down into South America and continued the tour. I never really followed them after that. Yeah, but certainly over here, it was just an incredible moment. I wasn't lucky enough to be there. But by all accounts, great live, but certainly, I don't know. I tried. Just wasn't willing to pay £500 for a ticket. Because I know they'll be back and I'll get a chance again. Yeah. And I'll fucking be there this time. But I certainly got to see it from the sidelines, Steve, and via live streams and videos and just the publicity around it. It seemed like an absolute moment and a half. And there's just something about Oasis time. And again, they seem to live in this moment. You think in the mid-90s, they were just in the eye of a storm, probably second only to the Beatles.
Yeah.
Or maybe even Nirvana to an extent with the rise of grunge in the early 90s, late 80s. But certainly they're in that ballpark in terms of euphoria and people want a bit of them, to quote that strange New Yorker. I just want a piece of them. What kind of police protection? That's why there's police protection from psychopaths like you fucking big weirdo. But they just seem to live in that moment when they get together and magic happens. There's just a desire for these guys.
There's 5 versions of this opus available. There is a link in that article that you can go and check it out. Just for for the sake of Live Forever edition is £65. That's probably standard price for a book of this quality and the quality of prints as well. John, there was one. There were one I think came out around about 2010, might have been a little bit earlier. Celtic had done one, and it was.
I remember that.
It was taken in a very natural way, where you could see the footballers and past footballers. Wrinkles, there was no hiding. There was no filter or anything like that. It was a very honest, shot. And that's one of the things I like about these collections. It's very honest shots. It's natural. It's not always posed. I know, obviously, the actual Oasis Live 25 pose with Noah and Liam. That I think is one of the most shared.
That was iconic.
In August 2024 when it was announced. I remember the Twitter or X accounts of both brothers announcing the same thing at the same time, and this was the first photograph we saw of them together. I actually thought that they were superimposed. They were in different rooms and it's just white background and stuck them together, because I still couldn't believe at the time, that they were even in talking terms. Obviously it had been in the works for many months before we knew about it, but
no was all of a sudden receptive, Stephen. I think it was post-divorce. He was heavily hinting and people were thinking, he's at it. If you've got the balls, phone me. Let's do it. And people are like, he's taking the piss. It's like he's like trying to, I don't know what the word would be. Reverse psychology on him. He's trying to work and get into his mind and say, let's go then, I'm game for it. And try to maybe get him to phone up so he could laugh at him and say, go and fuck yourself, put a spoon in the milk again, son. It's not going to happen. But no, it happened. And Stephen, it's still mental to think these guys get back together, just the band in general, because I thought that they just seem to click. I understand there's a rehearsal process and they obviously got together and rehearsed the songs. It's not like they just happened on that stage in, where was it, Cardiff, night one, and it just clicked back into gear. But even with rehearsals, I keep getting back to it, Stephen, one of the most well-toured bands on the planet, the Rolling Stones, I understand, are much older. But I watched their first concert. Someone filmed it, and I think it was from North America. I can't remember which city. From a couple of years ago, the Hackney Diamonds, or whatever the fucking hell that tour was. Keith absolutely butchered the Start Me Up opening chord, and they were just rusty as hell. It took them about simple fucking chord. He does that.
When I go rusty, if maybe there's 2 or 3 days, in the city for a particular artist, I always pick the middle one.
Yeah,
I think that's always when their peak performances. The first one is it's like making pancakes. The first one's always a throwaway.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The second one's always better, and then if there's a third night, it's let's just get this over and done with. I've done this.
But that's what was impressive, Stephen, about Oasis, though. Right from the get-go, they were on it. I mind watching a live stream of them doing the first gig, and I'm like, holy fuck, they sound incredible. They were on it. Slid right back into lead guitar work. Liam's voice was godlike. They were all just in tune with each other, knocking it out of the park, and it seemed to be every single performance, certainly in Britain.
Yeah.
Drummer from R.E.M., I forget his name, he was on it.
Yeah.
Liam's voice, every single performance was just nailed on. They just seem to get into a groove and never get out of it.
John Bonehead as well. I know he'd been doing some work with Liam, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, before obviously his illness. It was just slot back into place, along with obviously Gem and is it Andy White?
Yeah.
Andy Bell, sorry. Andy White was he was the drummer for the Beatles, wasn't
he? Yeah.
Is he
the session drummer in Love Me Do? Yeah.
Imagine getting him back. Yeah, rock and roll star.
They got a weird drummers, didn't they? They had that fucking strange drummer that went to Australia with them as well. Looked like something out of Mel Brooks' film. Didn't fit at all. I forget his name.
Jimmy Nicol.
Jimmy Nicol, that's the one. Was it not? It was Australia, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because Ringo had his tonsils removed.
Yeah.
And then he was right back into smoking when he came out of theatre. That's Ringo for you. Still alive, by the way, Ringo, so I don't know what that tells you. Perhaps the smoking's not bad for you after all, I don't know. I wouldn't know, I didn't smoke, ever. But no, sorry, Stephen, I interrupted you.
I'm just talking about the Opus, John. I think £65 is a reasonable price, you know, and it might be out of some people's price range, but I think in terms of quality packaging, quality presentation, and over 1,000 photographs as well, I don't think you can complain too much about that.
I think £65 are more than reasonable price for this. It's a high quality presentation. You're getting all these images. It's almost taking you on a journey, Stephen. You're actually feeling like you're living it by going through the images. That's the power of photography. It's a wonderful thing. That's why it's celebrated and has been for decades upon decades. You've got people winning prizes for capturing these moments. You think of some of the iconic images, kids fleeing in Vietnam from napalm strikes, the guy getting executed. So many iconic shots captured by photographers in the moment. It's a real art form.
John,
Certainly this guy has done this. It's maybe not as serious as Vietnam, but he's captured the vibe.
You're absolutely right. It's historical. I'm not obviously playing it up in the same sort of level, but moments are moments at the end of the day. John, Rage Against the Machine did it for one of their album covers.
Immolation,
yeah, you know, and it's images that stay with you, you know, and it's one of the most important things about photography, and certainly in the arts, is to obviously capture that, you know, in the moment. And this was a big moment, particularly in the UK. I think, I'm not downplaying obviously our US counterparts being fans of Oasis, but certainly obviously closer to home. We've not had any interviews. I've not seen Liam or Noel talk about this yet. I've not seen them talk about each other yet. Maybe there is stuff out there, I've just not seen it. We've not seen anything in terms of film, official film yet. So this is the start of it. You know, this is the start of the, you know, obviously the behind the scenes, the promotion of obviously that tour. Because I do believe that they're planning.
I'm back in next year.
Yeah, next year, 2027.
I think this will be a great year, and they'll really celebrate the tour from last year. So you'll start seeing all the different forms of that, documentaries, this Opus and whatnot. So I think that will come this year.
Yeah.
Bit by bit. I'm looking forward to the documentary coming out. That will be something special as well. But no, Stephen, it's cool to see all of this being celebrated. And celebrating these guys being back together again. Because it was a special moment. And it deserves to be milked for all it's worth. And just for that guy as well, to get his work celebrated. So, I mean, I'd certainly buy it. Definitely buy it. I love a good physical book in my hands. Never did gel with this Kindle box and iPads. It wasn't for me. There's something about having a book in your hand. Even just any book, just the paper, just feels right. Feels right. Get nothing else to say, Stephen.
I'm done.
Threw me under the bus there going to the wee shop, just as I was huffing my own sort of self-importance. Just feels right having a bit of paper in your hands, feeling the sort of the deceased form of a tree in your hands. You know, it's special. It's to be celebrated. It's to be enjoyed. I'm going to get back to this shot.
What?
You'd be worse, you'd be doing it. So worse even. I always go back to that video with the English supporter getting caught in live TV, snorting some cocaine up his nostril and then getting right into the party. Unbelievable. What a fool. But it was funny as well. Speaking about funny, we'll need to be discussing a video I see, Stephen. Fermented fish.
Yeah.
That was god tier. Oh, I can't tell you how many times I watched that today.
I watched it one.
Oh, God, man. It's like that guy made the homemade
fish.
Yeah. It was just, it was almost what Brent-esque though. The zooms into things. Zoom into the fez on the ground. The zoom into the one bite out of the roll. It was just fucking god tier production value. But look, that's going to round it up, guys. Unless Steve's got anything else to say, what was your thoughts on Harry Potter? Harry Potter, come to die. Harry Potter. I can't do Rafe Fiennes. That's what he's calling himself now. It's not Ralph, it's Rafe. I don't know what he was thinking by that. But anyway, share your thoughts on HBO. HBO's Harry Potter. And the new TV show and the teaser that may or may not be coming out tomorrow. They're saying tomorrow. I don't know what it's going to be. Is it going to be a teaser? Is it going to be a trailer? Is it going to be a poster again? Fuck knows, we'll find out tomorrow. Share your thoughts down below on the show. You look forward to it, you look for thoughts on the casting, thoughts on the vibes, thoughts on our discussion. Share it down below. Thoughts on Punisher officially returning in a special presentation, whatever that means. Share your thoughts on John Bernthal. You're looking forward to Spider-Man, brand new day. He's going to be in there as well, the Punisher. And finally, what is your thoughts on Oasis, the opus from 25, the live tour, the event, the zeitgeist it was, the summer of 2025. Share your thoughts down below on that, on anything at all we've discussed on the stream stroke show, stroke, whatever you want to call it, podcast experience. In the comment section below, like the video if you've enjoyed, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to one's eyes for future content like this. And all that's left to be said really is thank you for watching this, and until the next time, bye-bye.